Hey, it's Sporty King and it's Glue Wednesday. Look, I'm on early. And in fact, what I decided to do today is come on 6 minutes early because, I always love to say 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on. So my broadcast starts at 1 o'clock, but my personal belief is I like to get on before the actual broadcast time because if you have it saved in your schedule that Sporty comes on at 1, and then I start at 1, and then it comes on. You say, "Oh my God, I forgot, and I didn't finish this thing up." So I'm giving you that time right now to finish that up. If you're coming on live, if you're watching the video, the tape, please do still comment on it as we go through. But I see I got somebody watching. This is my interactive day. So please put something in the thread. I'll be happy to answer you and make comments because it actually, people do know I prepare a message and then it feeds into the comments that I get. If this is your first time watching Glue Wednesday, where it's born from 3 years ago where I started doing the broadcast. And what I did is so many people say Wednesday is hump day. That's old school hump day because the old school rules, right? And the way we looked at the old school, you work Monday to Friday and the other days were the weekend. And that was it. But the truth is they're flex schedules and not everybody works Monday to Friday. So I did look at the fact, though, that Wednesday is the middle of a traditional 7-day week, regardless of when you work. So Wednesday is the day that keeps the week beginning and the weekend together. So I therefore say that Wednesday is the glue. And then, me, I do my glue is always spiritual. So I got it as God's love undoes everything. Not that it will tear things apart, but that it will put things together that have been torn apart. So glue, because hump has the connotation. I'm word sensitive, and we've got less than 4 minutes for today's real message, or the extension of today's message. Because whenever I start talking, the message begins. That's the way to go, and that's the way you have to recognize. That's why it's important. The number one communication skill is listening. Once you start speaking, the message begins, but it also starts in your head as you're listening. So whatever I'm saying now as I warm up to the prepared message actually walks right into what the prepared message is going to be. So always think about that. That's why I always say to people, control your vocabulary rather than allowing your vocabulary to control you. You are always going to walk into your message the moment you start speaking. Because that's the thing, even though communication, the number one communication skill is listening. So you start communicating when you listen, but guess what? What are you listening to? The person who started the message, the person who's speaking. So that's important. Okay. So that's why I say, I'm walking us into the message, but with Glue Wednesday, what I've decided to do is look at how important it is for us to recognize that the weekend and the week beginning, I lost my place. So I'll come back to that. All right. Woo! Y'all know it's real out here. It's less than 3 minutes for today's message. So thank you for staying on live. And remember, if you're on live or even if you're on watching the video, put something in the thread. I would love to react to you and say some things that, I'm not big on having a lot of conversations in threads. But I do it like to acknowledge people, and you may be a blessing to someone else based on what you put in the thread. We've got less than 2 minutes for today's message. So always think that, because recognize you're always, you have to choose your messengers carefully and recognize that you're carefully being chosen as a messenger. So you never know who your message, remember the message begins when you start speaking. You never know who needs your message so that they can move forward. It makes a difference. Oh man, I ain't seen you in a while. What's up, Ja? See, this is also the other reason I come on early. By the way, I meant to mention that is that I do my shout outs. I try to do my shout outs before the message starts. And this is definitely one of my spiritual younger brother, my nephew, Ja Smalls, y'all. Coach Ja, great poet, fantastic poet. Get over to his page. Ja, put your link in there, whatever you call it. Would it be at Coach Ja in terms of what your Facebook page is? But also, I know on Instagram he does coffee, poetry in the morning with coffee, something. You got a lot of stuff going on. You can't remember it all. We got less than a minute for today's message. And that's one of the things that I always said. See, I'm 65 now, but I started on a contract when I was in Chicago with the Chicago Department on Aging. I spoke in 5 senior citizen centers a month. And that's been the genesis of my Golden Brick Road fund letter. If you aren't receiving that, you need to let me know, because you need to receive that. But I started a program called the Golden Brick Road. And I always told my seniors, I said, don't let people tell you you're getting senile. Tell them you're exercising your right to forget. And so so now I was 40 then, and hey, I was talking to people who were 65, but I was also starting, where do you really start being senior? Well, you can start very young as far as I'm concerned, because I call them seasoned citizen. All of us are seasoned citizens. We're seasoned with a little something different that makes us valuable to the other people in our lives. Josh seasoning is his poetry. You should see how he does a great job of emceeing and connecting the different poems to one another. And now he's getting ready to be a father. Yay. Okay. So my seasoning is different. The way I play with words, I call them my puzzle pieces. I hope you registered, and you still can, by the way, get on there and register for my I'm a part of the Lay Your Burdens Down retreat that's going on right now, still today. And so you can still register, but it's to fight against racism, but it's also to heighten the realization of what hidden racism is, but also what the solutions, what could we be doing? Because, just because you're just people of color or white, sometimes you need to see a little bit more. So none of us is exempt from racism. What we need to see is really look at the different definitions of it, the way it approaches things. And so, so please, if you haven't registered, you still can. And that's in my thread. You can click on that way. You can look at the tapes of what has taken place so far on Monday and Tuesday. Today, Wednesday, is the last day. And then also tonight, we'll have the final wrap up where all of the speakers will be able to be on live on Zoom as well, and then have some comments. So I'll get a chance to do that. And then, this is not something that I can copy and post this tape on my site. You need to register so that you can have access to the videos, because then they'll stay accessible for 4 days after today, so that the people who registered, you can get them, see them in your time, as well as you might want to watch one again. So anyway, get in there, okay? But let's see, here we got Ja, because, this is on a tape delay. So Coffee Time with Ja Smalls on YouTube at 10 a.m. Oh, you know what? I saw it on Instagram. So maybe that's what it was. The YouTube feed was going into Instagram. Ah, boy, y'all, old people, what I tell y'all, we better get on that technology. They all connect. It's beautiful. All right. And then he said, I'm always exercising that right. And I ain't even 50 yet. Right. Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. Exercise your right to forget. Look, y'all, we can take a joke and make a real lesson out of it. Computers lose memory. How can you expect to remember everything that you've learned in your life? See, and part of the challenge, especially when we're aging, is because society does this to us. Oh, you're getting senile, you're getting dementia. Sure, people get dementia and get senile, but you don't need to bring it on before it happens, because what happens is, as we get older and we get conscious of it, we start to forget stuff, and then once we forget, instead of trying to remember what we forgot, we start beating ourselves up. That conversation I had, oh man, I can't believe I forgot that. And so we actually repress the thought instead of coming up with the solution, because we don't want to look funny and stupid to other people. Sometimes that's why people don't say what they have on their mind, because they don't want somebody else to, oh, well, look at what, how they react to what I say. So no, all of us have to recognize you lose memory. You're supposed to lose memory. It's yes, and the aging process could be one of the things, but it could be all the past drug use. It could have been the alcoholism. It could have been the sleep you didn't get. Come on, y'all. This is life. Are y'all living this life, or are you living the one you see on TV? So thank you. Yes, exercise your right to forget, Ja. All right. Okay, and I'm on my way, though. Yeah, you're on your way. Yeah, you're going to be 50 one day. And when you get there, call it a half a century. See, put some distinction to it. I'm a half a century, and that becomes the beauty of it all. Like not since I turned 65, I say, hey, I'm Medicare, so that I have it as a beautiful milestone. And then Zed say, yeah, memory is slipping. It's supposed to. Who doesn't forget something? Somebody who didn't know anything. Boom. Right? If you know a lot of stuff, there is no way for you to remember it all. Why? Because if you know a lot of stuff, that means you're a learner. If you're a learner, what does that mean? That there's always something else to learn. You're always being impacted. There's always someone bringing you a fresh perspective. So you start to move stuff out. And that's really what it is. But when we have that, because come on, y'all, the mind is a terrible thing to waste, right? That's what they say. But I like to add, but a behind is a terrible thing to taste, right? Yeah, don't kiss nobody's butt by you repressing what you have to say. Why be smaller? There's that Marianne Williamson saying that everybody gives Nelson Mandela credit for, but Nelson Mandela was the one that said, but it's Marianne Wilson. She said, I can't quote it. Why shrink yourself so that someone else can be bigger? Y'all know the quote I'm talking about. Look it up if you need to. But that's the key, y'all. We're supposed to lose memory. Don't beat yourself up for it. Give yourself credit, because it means, man, I just learned something else, and that moves something else out. And so based on what's going on in your life, your priorities change. And therefore, what is more important to you comes front and center. It's pretty much why, like I say, with Glue Wednesday, for me, glue is GLUE. God's love undoes everything. And that's what we're doing, y'all. We're talking about how God's love, if we have God's love, what we do with it is important. It's incumbent upon us to use it because it's there. We just have to use it. So that's what my Wednesday session is called, Glue Wednesday. It's God's love undoes everything, because we have to keep it together. Hump Day says I need to get over. Glue says I need to keep it together. That's a hard thing to do. So what I'm doing as we close out the year, I'm calling my series the Burr months. September, October, November, and December. And these are the Burr months. And it just also has to do with it being cold as well. Okay. What you got there, John? Oh, you didn't know that's what glue stood for? Uh-huh. Yep. All right. See that. And that's also, if you're doing broadcasts, always repeat the essence of what you're doing, because there's always somebody new or someone that you thought knew that doesn't know. And so, because a lot of times what you'll get is somebody, you'll see it with choirs in church, or someone who wants to sing. They don't want to hear that song again. Yes, they do. People want to hear you sing what they came to hear you sing, and people want to hear you. Oh, well, I said this before. That's what's not. A lot of people have a problem with speaking. They say, oh, well, yeah, I can't. I got to say something new every time. No, you don't. Say what you said before, because even as you restate it, I know plenty of stuff. When I say it differently because I'm in a different moment. I have a new perspective where I'm coming from, and I may put the accent on a different word, and that makes a difference, y'all. Vocabulary is important. So, and Ja is very good at that, and he knows that. Okay, so Zet, you met Ja when y'all came in. Ja, that's Zet, my sister. That they were the judges when they came to the poetry reading. All right. So thank you, Ja. Glad to know that. Now you know what glue stands for. But here I go. Okay. So we're in the third month of the Burr months. And so what the question though we'll be discussing, so be ready to throw something in the thread, is what will you do to keep it together? Like I said, it's glue. Not what have you been doing to keep it together this year, but what will you do to keep it together going forward? Because see, what you've done, some of the stuff you didn't plan, you just did it. But what are the things now that you think about it? Wow, you know what? I did this. What traditions will you keep? See, what will you do to keep it together? And what will you do to keep it together is the main crux of what we're going to be talking about today. And so what we'll be discussing this week, we'll be discussing that through the letter E. Why? Because December is D, the four letters in December, D-E-C-E-N-M. So each week I focused on a different letter. And now, so with this being the fifth Wednesday in December, I actually did the C twice, but I've already done the the D, the M, and I did the C twice. So now it's time for the letter E. And these are my three words that are the base of my message today: easy, enemy, and eyes. But first, a fun literacy fact. I always like to make sure we get some kind of fun literacy fact. And actually, what it is, I just dropped it in the thread there for you, and I hope it worked. Yeah, the Burr months. I get it. Oh, okay. But I just dropped it in the thread. That's the YouTube channel for abcmouse.com, and it's called the Letter E Song. So just have some fun. Go listen to the Letter E Song. It's a 2-minute song, and it talks about the letter E. So what we got here, Deborah Holt. Also, the banner gives clarity. The Burr months. Yeah. Yeah, see, there's another presentation tip, y'all. Right now, some people can be complaining about being on Zoom and all this kind of stuff, but this is where our world is going right now. This is where our world is. P.S. By the way, see that there? Certified virtual presenter. You have to know some of these little tricks that are not really tricks, but they're necessary for engaging your audiences. So you have, it's not everything you say, and I say a lot of stuff. So it's important for me to make sure that I have something for visual learners. There's 3 types of learner. There's auditory, there's visual, and kinesthetic, which is people who people want to be involved. Okay, see how I told y'all that stuff that is not even prepared with the message, but based on what you put in the thread, always creates the message. Recognize that that's the same thing that's going on in your life. Once you come into the mix changes. The recipe changes based on you. This is the power we have to sometimes remember that we have, because we forget it. That's why I say, what are you going to do to keep it together? Because getting it together is not the challenge. Keeping it together is the challenge. And I had to laugh right in the middle because my crazy sister, she calls me Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. And so, yeah, because I am an older person. And I remember one of my nephews said, man, Uncle Sporty, I said, I like it. You keep trying to learn, because a lot of older people, man, I can't do technology. Hey, you better figure it out. And if for no other reason, you want to be able to help our younger generation use the technology. We came up with it. We prayed for it. So here, why don't you give them a little background of why we wanted that technology? That will help them understand even a little better. And sometimes you say, well, they just do things. Well, yeah, they do. But things change when you get context. Nobody is out of the picture until they decide that they're out of the picture. And speaking of picture, what did you say, Deborah? I'm visual. See, this is what I'm saying, y'all. This is what we do. I'm visual. Yeah. And that's what you want to recognize. What type of a learner are you? Are you visual? Are you auditory? Or are you kinesthetic, which is action, which is mean you got to be involved. We're all 3, but one of them is our primary. Okay, because for Deborah, as a visual, she needs to see the word, but you got to hear it. Just seeing it might not give you the picture of what it is. Just seeing, the Burr months and that going to go. Well, what does that mean? Everything needs context. So all of us, y'all, context is what's important. Okay, context is what's important. So what will you do to keep it together? Easy. All right. So meanwhile, what I'm going to do today is actually reverse the orders of sharing my ease heavily, because that's the ease of God's love. It does not require sequential compliance. See, you don't have to do this to get that. In fact, most of us believe that you are not blessed based on what you've planned to do as much as based on what you've, in some cases, happen to do. You're not all, well, if I do this, I'm going to be blessed. No, sometimes you do something and then you get blessed. All right. And so even as you can see, let me take this out of the way. The t-shirt I've got on today, believe. I'm not making it. This is the slogan from Obama's political when he ran for office, but I'm not using this to make a political statement. I'm wearing it because I want to ask, do you believe? When we talk about what are you going to do to keep it together, do you still believe? Belief, is the essence of faith. And we know that faith is not by sight. Thus, my opening with the word eyes. And I'm going to close out this year on the pulpit, y'all. I'm going to preach today. And I'm going to bring you today's message from the Bible, which is where I get my guidance. I always say I don't necessarily quote the Bible. I use the Bible. There's so many good principles in there that we need to just check out and get to know. Okay. So I'll be coming from the Bible, but I also have a page that I no longer use. It's called Facebook. I leave it up just in case people, want to go there for inspiration. But what I did, and I don't remember how many years, but I've read the Bible 9 times. And each time I read it with a different reason. And so one of the times I decided to come up with my reason is one time I read it straight through and then I was reading it looking for my affirmations to put in there. Then I read it because I wanted to share certain messages. So what I would do with Facebook is I would read my scripture and then I'd put my spin on it based on real time what's going on. So faith, even though, my acronym for faith, FAITH, feeling as if there's hope. Okay, so that's why I called it Facebook. So that's what I would use the Bible for, is looking for those types of things, and I'd share them on Facebook to help people get another way of understanding scripture. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, is reading excerpts from what I actually posted on Facebook. Now it's still there. I just don't use it anymore. I didn't delete it because there's also, the chance that somebody's just, flicking through and it might be something to bless them. And because it's a lot of great stuff on it. If you ever need to go on there, it's great. And what I did do in September of 2019, I actually put a message on there letting people know that it's no longer an active page. Don't just leave something, let people know. So people come on looking for a new post. No, you can go through and look for the old ones and see what uplifts you, but I will not be putting any new ones. But my excerpts today are from there. So we're going to first go to eyes. Okay, we're going to go to eyes. And eyes we get from 2 Kings 6:16 through 17. It says, "Don't be afraid," Elisha told them, "for there are more on our side than on theirs." Then Elisha prayed, "O Lord, open his eyes and let him see." The Lord opened his servant's eyes, and when he looked up, he saw that the hillside around Elisha was filled with horses and chariots of fire. And that's in the scripture. And then what I wrote on Facebook, I wrote, what made me stop at this scripture is the name of the book, 2 Kings, which I will call 2 Kings, and mispronounce it on purpose to embrace my niece. And so I'm talking about Trishan. So that gives you an idea of when I wrote this. To embrace my niece, who is recovering from emergency surgery due to cancer this past Monday. We call one another number one because she's my oldest niece and I'm her oldest uncle. So we just call one another number one. And so I added us up 1 and 1 to get 2 Kings instead of 2 Kings. I got 2 Kings. See, this is what I'm doing while I'm reading the Bible, is being creative. So I get the 2 Kings that we are, strongly believing in one another and drenched in faith, feeling as if there's hope. Believing that the only thing you cannot do is give up. And sure enough, I also have this scripture categorized as the battle is not yours in my previous reading. Whenever you feel the odds are overwhelming, try to see them merely as whelming and then just a setup for a testimony. Because that's what we hear. The battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. So that's something that you have to believe and you can't see. So if you know the story about, and I'm not giving you the full story, but this is what Elijah and his servant, they thought they were surrounded by the enemy. Said, "Oh my God, they're going to, they've got us outnumbered." And that's what Elisha said. He said, "See, the battle is not ours. The Lord is fighting for us." So Elisha said to God, "Open my servant's eyes. I know that we are stronger than these fools that are coming after us, but he or she doesn't see it." It was a he back then. Doesn't see it. How often are we in that situation where we think, that's what I'm talking about in terms of being overwhelmed? Because we'll say, "I'm overwhelmed with all that I've got going on." you're not overwhelmed. There's more on your side to help you get through that situation than there is against you. So what you have to do is, I say, call it whelmed, because when I'm whelmed, I'm well with what has been given to me. I've been given more responsibility. So that's going to get me the testimony. That's what I mean by control your vocabulary rather than allowing your vocabulary to control you. You have to define something that's going to help your belief. When you really think about, if you read anything in the Bible, you have to believe that stuff. Come on, because they don't have very good timelines in there of how things happen. How somebody just, they killed the fatted calf and then roasted it and served it. How? A calf, y'all. So they had a fatted calf is still alive. So they had to kill it, cut the parts, clean it, set up the fire, cook it, season it. Maybe they didn't season it. Cook it, season it, cook it. Then let it cool off, cut it down, put it on the plate and serve it. And how much time? We have problems doing that with letting the stove get hot and the microwave. So you have to believe what's being said in the Bible. But you have to, but in your belief, it has to be strong enough to where you're understanding that it's true. The battle is not yours. Stop looking at the enemy and thinking that he or she has you defeated. They may have you surrounded, but guess what? Maybe you ever play that game where you get your turn in the middle and you are the center of attraction. Excuse me. That doesn't mean you're in bad. You're your turn in the center. And just like when we're dancing, whose turn is it to get in the middle? Enjoy your time in the middle. And also, when you think about, I like to talk about life being about one puzzle, going from one puzzle to the next. Sometimes you're the nucleus of your puzzle. And as the nucleus, you're in the middle. How do we put a puzzle together? From the outside in. So you have to be patient if you're the nucleus of the puzzle of your life. So when you're surrounded, see that as a good sign that things are coming to you. Because if the enemy is coming to you, what's no weapon formed against me, right? As the enemy is coming to you, the blessings are also working their way into. Do you believe that? That's really what it comes down to. Do you believe that? Okay. So it's so important to make sure that you know what you believe so that you can see that what you thought was overwhelming was just whelming, because it was something that you needed to make the testimony for someone else. But here's how something else that I let that walk me into, and that is recognizing that the next E is enemy. And the next E is enemy. And it's 2 Kings 18:32 through 33. Don't listen to Hezekiah when he tries to mislead you by saying the Lord will rescue you. Have the gods of any other nations ever saved their people from the king of Assyria? That's within the Bible there, right? And this, and so that's the key. See, the servant is thinking that, this is now the Babylonians talking to all the people in the village. I think they were the Israelites. Maybe I should have checked that. But anyway, he's no longer talking to the servants, talking to the people in the village to say, I'm here. It was the Babylonians, and they said, yeah, we're going to defeat you. So don't let Hezekiah, who's the prophet, talk you into thinking that we're not, because that's what he said. Don't let him say that the Lord's going to rescue you. Have any of the gods of any other nations ever saved their people from the king of Assyria? Now, here's what I wrote in Faith Book. I hope you caught the twist in the truth of these words, that this is what they were saying to Hezekiah. I hope you caught the truth. There's a truth to this. This is how faith gets sapped, by not listening to what is said. See, he's telling them, don't listen to Hezekiah, because Hezekiah knows what he's talking about. So the enemy is trying to get you to not listen to someone who's got your best interest at heart. Remember, choose your messengers carefully and recognize that you are carefully being chosen by a messenger. I forgot to put that part up. Oops, no, I didn't. I'm good. All right. See, don't go ahead of yourself, Sporty. Stay there. You got it. Okay. See, so if we don't know who to listen to, we get the wrong message. and we make a bad decision. So that's what the enemy is trying to trap him. See, that's why your faith is so important, by not listening to what is being said. However, these next words show that Hezekiah was listening and understood the false bravado of God's enemies. And that's the one that I meant to click on. 2 Kings 19:17 through 18. And this is what Hezekiah said to the guy. He said, yeah, it's true. It's true that the kings of Assyria have destroyed all these nations, just as the message says. And they have thrown the gods of these nations into the fire and burned them. But of course, the Assyrians could destroy them. Why? Because they were not gods at all. They were only idols of wood and stone shaped by human hands. So that's what, see, Hezekiah understood who he was fighting against. Do you know who your enemies really are? Sometimes, that's to say, we're feeling we're surrounded, we're overwhelmed, but we're not really overwhelmed by what we see. Faith comes by, not by sight. And so what you see is maybe not what really is your enemy. It's what you don't see. And so that's what he's saying. Yeah, they threw, those weren't real gods. No wonder they could beat them, but I got the real God on my side. And if when you're looking in the Bible, you'll see that they got a small g when they say what gods can save you, versus when Hezekiah speaks as my God, our God, y'all, is a capital G. But here's what I got from that also. Sometimes your enemy will also give you the formula to defeat them. Sometimes the enemy will give you the formula to defeat them. Here it is. 2 Kings 19 through 20. So we go backwards. And he says to Hezekiah, what are you trusting in that makes you so confident? Do you think that mere words can substitute for military skill and strength? But perhaps you will say, we are trusting in the Lord our God. See, the enemy knows the secret. He'll give you the formula. We are trusting in the Lord our God. What are you trusting in that makes you so confident? We are trusting in the Lord our God. So see, the enemy actually gave them the solution to how to defeat him. The enemy knows how you can defeat them. And so that's again why it's so important to just listen. When you get in those arguments, listen to what the other person's saying, so that you can hear what the real argument is, what's the real discomfort. And then you also hear the weakness, okay? And that's a slow process, and it's something you have to learn. But you have to know that you can defeat the enemy, because here's the deal. When you believe, you win, because evil believes in itself. So you have to be good enough, and your belief has to be strong. You're good. You're good. You're not evil. You're good. So if evil believes in themselves, you have to believe in yourself just as hard. In fact, more. Because you can defeat evil. One of my affirmations is hope, H-O-P-E, having overpowered evil. Sorry, Deborah, I wasn't planning on talking about that one. But it's to say that we can defeat evil one-on-one. But it goes back to that overwhelm. It's when we have all of these problems hitting at once that we feel that we can't beat. But if we had one problem at a time, we could beat that, having overpowered evil one at a time. So that's what you should do. When you have a lot of problems, you can't solve them all at once. So don't fight all of them. Take one problem at a time. You got 5 problems. Well, guess what? It gets 20% of your time. You've got 5 problems. Don't give one problem 50% and give the other 4 problems that split in that 50. No, you give each problem its equal amount of time, because guess what? The battle is not yours. You can acknowledge what the challenge is so that God can take care of it, because that takes us to the next E, which is easy. It's always easy. Expect angels to pray to save you. In other words, I call it pray and get out of the way. It's easy. Expect angels to save you. So when you think you've got a challenge too big for you to handle, first of all, you're right. It's too big for you to handle because it's not yours. Your angels will save you. So it's easy to deal with them. Pray and get out of the way. Pray in faith, not fear. If ever anybody has had any type of challenge, you'll see me. I send them. They say, prayer warriors, we need your help, and I send them a thing saying, praying in faith, not fear, for your recovery at a time when, for your smooth recovery at a time where speed cannot heal. Now, I pretty much send that to everybody. That doesn't take any of the strength of my prayer away. Oh, he's just sending me the same prayer he sends everybody. Yeah, I am, because I know it works. Why do I need to try to come up with a new prayer just for you so that you can say, oh, good, he's sending me one just for me? I want to come up with a proven prayer, tried and true, tested. My prayer is I pray for you in faith, not fear. I'm not afraid that God is going to, I'm not, oh, God, please help. I'm like, God, please help them. I'm in faith. That's because what do we learn in the Lord's prayer? Thy will be done, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. So see, thy will be done is the faith. So I'm praying, Lord, I know you can do it. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to pray and get out of the way. I'm going to pray in faith, not fear. Pray in faith, not fear. And we need to all be doing that. Let me say a prayer right now for one of our family members who's usually on the broadcast. Good friend of mine, Tony Anyango. She has pneumonia, but she, listen to this funny thing. Thank God it's not COVID, but we thought it was. But still, we say a prayer for everything and everybody. So she's praying. She's asking for prayer. She's hospitalized, but at least she now has a diagnosis of recovery. So I'm praying in faith. Hey, Jane, long time. Good to see you. Happy Kwanzaa. And so happy Kwanzaa. And the greeting in Kwanzaa is we're trying to teach people, and we need to teach everybody it, not just people or not people of not of our faith. Kwanzaa is a celebration. It's a harvest celebration, and it's 7 days. I say it's the principle. I say it should be 7 days a week, not 7 days a year. But the greeting is Habari Gani, which is what's the news. So when every day of Kwanzaa, that's how you greet everyone. You say Habari Gani, what's the news? And then they say Habari Gani, and then whatever is the principle of the day. So today is Nia, so we would say Habari Gani, Nia. So the news is Nia, and Nia is what? Jane, that's you. You're on. Put what Nia is in the thread so we can teach people about Kwanzaa. It's a great. When I was in Chicago, I had a friend, Linda Hanna, who I used to always go and we celebrated. And see, Kwanzaa is a thing that you celebrate with multi-generations because it's a traditional way of passing the torch and letting the young people in your family know what has been going on and what we value. So I just talked to Linda the other day. It might have been yesterday. And so I won't be able to do she won't be able to do the Kwanzaa party this year either, but that was always a great celebration. So y'all, it's a great thing to celebrate. All right. So we're talking about easy, right? Expect angels to save you and then pray in faith, not fear. Pray in faith, not fear. All right. So I actually say to you, happy old year. As I talk about praying in faith, happy old year. I didn't misspell year. That's year, like in year. Yeah. But 2020 was COVID. This is the old year, y'all. Happy old year. We made it through. And the old is OLD. It's our Lord's design and our life's direction. This is the day that the Lord has made. God made 2020, y'all. So, let's not don't let it throw you off to the devil is busy. But no, God made 2020. Again, if we use the Bible, he sent plagues to the Egyptians so that they let the Israelite go. He sent plagues to the Israelites because they didn't pay attention in the desert. God sent leprosy to David. All of these things, the Lord's designed, all of these things, wipeouts of whole. The Bible has wipeouts of entire cultures and things like that. We see it in war. When you kill him, somebody's life is being taken. It's a civilization. We talk about genocide. All of these things, y'all. It's the Lord's design. But we have to work that design because our life's direction is a part of that design. That's why, again, what we're doing in the Lay Down Your Burdens retreat is, what part do I play in racism? All of us need to know that. Don't just decide it's the white people are racist. You can be black and racist as well. You can be Indian, Chinese, people of color. Everybody can be racist. But my message that I used on there was one that I've shared on Glue Wednesday before, and that is that racism, we have to take the race out of racism, because race is not the problem. All of us have a race. The ism is the problem, the ISM, the ignorance, the stupidity, and the madness. So that was part of my message in the summit. And again, I'll give you one last shout out to go on and register and go and enjoy that, because I gave man, I really enjoyed the message. And, sometimes as a messenger, don't misread where I'm coming from. I get excited when God uses me. And so, it's a good feeling to know that you're delivering the right message. And even nowadays where people talk about, well, I miss the audience interaction. I don't. As a speaker, I don't, because see, I don't base my success on audience reactions. That sounds weird to some people who are speakers, but I don't. I base my success on whether or not I deliver the proper message. Because the thing is, I don't know everybody in my audience. This is the way I did it when I was live. I don't know everybody in my audience. So if I look out at my audience and someone looks like they're not paying attention, they daydreaming or they're on their cell phone or whatever, I could lose energy saying, oh, wow, they're not paying attention. I must not be delivering. No, first of all, I don't know them. So I don't know what they're daydreaming about. Maybe I've reached them so well that they started thinking about something that they said, you know what, man, now that he said that, I need to do this. Oh, wait a minute. Now I see why so-and-so did that. See, you could be doing your job. Don't try to read people you don't know. The battle is not yours, right? Okay. And then plus you don't know what those people went through to get to that session, whether it's school, your speaking engagement, or school or church. I don't know what news they got that morning. Remember when I just did my scripture and I said 2 Kings and I said 2 Kings and I talk about my niece going through her battle with cancer. So imagine while she was going through her battle with cancer and she eventually died, imagine especially on the day of her dying, that if I go to a seminar that I already had to go to, and because there was nothing else I could do, my mind is not on the speaker. My mind is, okay, when I get out of here, here's what I need to do. That when my mother died, that's what me and my sister, we had to, you had to go, okay, we have to call this person. We got to set this up. So can you imagine the conversations that I had? People may have looked at me and they might have gotten a blank stare. You don't know what someone's going through. So the key is, deliver the right message. Remember what we said earlier? See this, what I'm saying, y'all, how these messages always work out. Who are you believing in? Who are you trusting in? Who are you listening to? So as the speaker, your job is to deliver the right message, because the other people are trying to get it from you while the enemy is trying to misdirect them and give them a false message and false hope. And so they need to see you. Hey, look, y'all, my way is harder, but this is what we need to do. And so they need to make that decision. So it's really important, to know what's your life's direction. And so like I say, so meanwhile, when I'm delivering that message, and I also told a friend of mine who's in the speaking business, I said, especially if you're speaking to young people, okay, speaking to high school students and stuff. When I was a teenager, I was a class clown, not teenager. When I was in elementary school and junior high school, I was the class clown. And what does peer pressure do as we reach puberty? We are required to do things that the class is doing. We're required to not seem to be paying attention, especially when it's a substitute teacher. So we got to go along with everybody else who's being disruptive. But guess what? Somebody's always listening. I may have been making jokes and stuff, but I was one of the top students in my class because I was listening. And so therefore, I understand that as a speaker, I remember when I was in the audience looking like I wasn't paying attention, but I was fully involved. So I believe that I'm that same kid like me, or any person like me is in that audience where they may not be able to look like they're involved or interested, but they're fully engaged. I have to deliver the right message. That's your job as a messenger. Deliver the right message. And that's why I get excited when God puts the message into me. And so what do we got here from Jane? She calls me professor, first of all. I crack up. I thank you for that. Okay, I was just telling someone that. Be blessed. Give God thanks. Okay, and I get the tape delay on these, so I'm glad. Sometimes I don't always know exactly the moment you post it, but we had it through the holiday. Yeah, we live to see another holiday and another year. P.S. By the way, another day. Okay, just have faith. Think positive. Eat healthy. Wear your damn mask. Not just wear your mask. Wear your damn mask. We will make it through this. We will make it through this. And so when you do that, now you have to do what? Give God credit. Once you make it through, give God credit, but now you add it to your track record. Because your track record says, first of all, let me give you your lack record. Your lack record says, I don't have what it takes to make it through. I can't handle this challenge. And then you believe and you go through, and your track record says, bam, I made it through. I guess I did have it. And that becomes the key. All right. So what you got at the Emily? Hey, good to see you, Emily. I hadn't reconnected with you earlier today. So good to see from you. And yes, I'm preaching. I'm preaching, but that becomes the key. Don't practice what you preach. Preach what you practice. That's what your job as a messenger. Stop telling people stuff that you think they should do, when in fact you wouldn't do that, or you don't do it, but you wouldn't even do it. But you got this vision what they should do when you don't know their full story. Okay. Oh my gosh, Shirley Trout, it is so good to see you. Good point. Great point. I don't know where it was on that, but okay. Someone will be thank you. Someone will be, I know what you're talking about. Someone will be paying attention, even when they may not be showing it to their friends. See, that's the value each of us has as a messenger. You got to think about it. Right. We didn't want to be the nerd in school. Oh, you trying to suck up to the teacher. That's what people would say to us. So therefore, we acted just as unruly as everybody else. So should the teachers or educators, I'm saying to you, even though we're dealing with virtual learning right now, do not lose your energy based on the facial expressions that you see in the camera. You shouldn't have lost it when they were live, but now even you have to rely on them even more now, where you're looking at all of the students, where when you were live, you could turn your back to the blackboard and be writing and stuff. Now you're totally eye to eye with them. But do not lose your energy, because you are there to deliver to the person, the student, the person who is that message is for today. Have you ever been to church service or do a motivational something, and you said, they were talking to me. That message was for me. See, and what do we say when we speak? Oh, if I could just reach one person. And then you hear pastors say, oh, that message was for somebody. See, so that's what you have to recognize. You don't have to reach everybody. Reach one person. And the person you should reach should be you. Make sure that you tell the truth. Thank you, Shirley. So good to see you, Dr. Shirley. So let me close this out quick. And then I always leave it open in case people want to continue to talk, but I already talked about our Lord's direction. But I like to remind us that stop looking at this as the end of the COVID year. This is not the end of the COVID year. What we have to recognize it was called COVID-19. It started in September 2019. So this is the first of the full COVID years. It's the end of the COVID year, but it's the end of the first full COVID years. We don't know how many we've got, but we have to see that we are creating the testimony. Somehow it skipped one. Oh, I don't have it up there. Okay. We are creating the testimony according to God's will going through this storm. So the question is, will you stay positive, and what will you do? I got a comment over there. Shirley, great to see you too. Yes. Okay. So this is the end of the first full COVID year. 2021 may be another COVID year. So don't get in denial and have a false expectation that sets you up for stress. Because oh man, well, I thought that now, that this shouldn't be happening. Where does it say that COVID-19 will end on December 31st at 12 midnight? You're going to say happy New Year and happy COVID gone year? No, we have made great strides to start to deal with this. And now, wow, we got to hope and pray and believe in what's going to happen. That we've got now the scientists and the doctors who know more than they knew before. So, so you got it. It's who do you believe? Because you got people now, you got the big controversy of whether or not somebody's going to take the vaccine or not. Okay, it's up to you. Who's your messenger? Who's your messenger? Who will you be listening to? But more importantly, will you stay positive? Because Jane wrote that in hers it's about staying positive. Will you? Because where was that big thing you wrote there, Jane? We live to see another year. Just have faith. Think positive. Will you? Will you do these things that Jane just said? Will you have faith? Will you think positive? Will you eat healthy? I'm going to eat healthy on certain days. All right. But I am definitely going to wear my mask. Sometimes I double mask. I've heard people say that. So I've only done it once, but and they almost choke me. But I say, I might do this again because it depends. It depends. We will make it through this. We will make it through this. This too shall pass, which was one of my mother's favorite sayings. So speaking of passing, that Monday is my Monday morning moment. Wednesday is my interactive Glue Friday. And then Friday is my gift Friday. But since this Friday is New Year's, what I'm going to do is have Gift Friday Eve. So I'll be on tomorrow with a 10 to 12 minute where it's not the interactive and the thread thing. I just share a nice poem that will help you deal with life, as well as it's something that can be used. You can see how this poem can relate to your life. It can be used if you need to inspire someone, whether live or virtually, so share it. That's why it's called my gift to you, because I'll read one of my original poems and then I'll make it available as a downloadable PDF that you can have as a gift from me. And then of course my gift is GIFT, God's love is for today. So let's keep remembering that's why glue is so important. What do we need to do to keep it together? I certainly thank you for watching and engaging, even though this one I was preaching, because I wanted to give us a good message. I decided I would preach for the closeout, but again, I want you to know that I'm always trying to be here for you and trying to be positive. I will be positive, okay? Not 365, 24/7, but I'm positive more than negative. I'm up more than down. I'm going forward more than I'm going backwards. And there's nothing wrong with every now and then reframing going backwards to realize that you just need to step back and take a look at your work and then give God credit. That's that track record we talked about earlier. See, so everything that we talked about today, it's right there in that thread, y'all. You can reread it. You can look at the video again. And if you're watching the video, you weren't here live, you can please add something in there that's going to bless somebody, or because you might read something, say, oh man, I never looked at it that way. See, and then let that person know that they just blessed you. Come on, y'all. This is what it's all about. But we've got to keep our energy up right now, because we have not been through this before. Don't bother comparing it to the Spanish flu and whatever you want to compare, in the history books. Don't bother comparing it to anything. The researchers, that's their job. They'll compare it and look for solutions. But you're comparing it and you're pulling your spirit down. Let's compare it to what it is today. And let's pray in faith, not fear, that our scientists and our doctors will make the greatest decisions possible. Because one thing that we can say for sure, this is a world pandemic. This is not a United States, East Coast, West Coast pandemic. This is a world pandemic. So guess what? That means we have the greatest minds in the world working on the solution. It's not about who gets it first and then they're going to keep it quiet. Whoever gets it first, they're going to get brag. They want to do bragging rights, but then everybody's okay. Well, can we get that? What did y'all do? Because it also, it also depends on the climate where you live. How it's administered in the colder climate is going to be different than a warmer climate. A rural area versus, third world country versus a city. Come on, y'all. We got all these things going on. We got a lot of people to pray for. All right. So pray for you. And oh my God, so good to see you, Lee. Thank you for today's blessing, and thank you. I always going to give you that credit Washington College. And thank you for that blessing. I never forget. And then I was praying for you the other day, Lee, because you had something on your page. I don't know if it was just about your birthday or whatever, but I said a prayer for you then too. So thank you. All right. And that, thank God we still here to see 2021. That's right. There are people who did not make it. P.S. By the way, the broadcast is over. If anybody feels like they need to go, but I'm going to stay here and run my mouth, have some conversations. But yeah, we made it to see 2021. And you know what? Guess what? We haven't actually made it yet. Okay. Carolyn, I'm praying. Yeah. And I know how you pray good. So thank you. Please do that. Pray and in faith. Yeah. Jane, wait, yay. Again, welcome back, Jane. We cannot give up. That's my, remember, faith, feeling as if there's hope. The only thing you cannot do is give up. And the ancestors would not have wanted us to give up. Be strong, be positive. Again, I now have to do another shout out, even though I said I was doing the final one on the symposium, the retreat that I'm in. You know, it's lay our burdens down, because she got the idea for the retreat using that song, you know, glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down, about how our ancestors, what they went through. And I was telling Tracy, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? In fact, now that I think about it, I don't know. But the latest poem I wrote, it's called It Went Black. And the poem is actually about a blackout. We had a power outage here in Charlotte a couple of months ago. And when it happened, the opening of the poem says, it went black, and then I went black. Because what happened is once the power outage hit, it suddenly dawned on me, the ancestors, you know, the people in the past, they didn't have what did you say, Chef? Sporty run his mouth. I had to put that commercial in there. I had to put that in there, Shirley. But yeah, but I thought about how, you know, people in the history, they didn't have, you know, like the electric company was here with the truck flashing lights, said there was a working zone to work on the power. They didn't have that. You know, they didn't have alarm systems in their house. They didn't have motion detectors, you know. So there's, you know, so that's what I end up thinking about when I wrote that poem, you know, about when it went black, then I went black. And then talk about ancestry. And since I was thinking about racism, you know, the Ku Klux Klan, they didn't announce that they were coming, you know, and so, you know, there's you know, there was the faith and the fear all together, man. So ancestors of every race, y'all, man, all of us come from good stock. Every single one of us comes from good stock. So what are you doing to make your ancestors continue to be proud of you? But what are you doing to make yourself be proud of you? Stay positive. And thank you. And Shirley, Shirley, no one, as long as you're going to get on my case, I'll get on your case for not knowing how to spell what. Oh my God. This and I'm gonna take you back to Jane's comment, family weekend, because that's the one thing on this broadcast. I love it how people come on and they say, hey, family, you know, and that's what we are. We just a wonderful, wonderful big family. So hey, again, for real, this time I'm out of here. God bless you. I appreciate you. Thanks for enjoying Glue Wednesday. Remember that all of my broadcasts are also loaded on YouTube, which is I'm actually broadcasting live to right now. So if you want to see them, they in nice sequential order versus on Facebook where they, you know, separated by a lot of different posts on the different days. So, you know, that would be a great way for you to, and please subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Even if you don't need to, you know, just go there, subscribe and leave if you don't want to stay and watch. Excuse me, because it's very helpful to me in my business growth. Okay. I'm learning technology, and that's one of the things that I've learned. So, you know, God bless you. Over and out. Ciao. Keep it together.